Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Fitchburg on this Friday, March 18th, 2022. Is your bracket wrecked yet? Well, I think most people's are. And I want to say, what did they say? On ESPN, the brackets, I think there was only out of like 3 million or, gazillion, only like 150 people made it through after yesterday's debacles with the bracket games. Andrews and I brackets definitely took a hit yesterday. And we'll show you some of that coming up at the end of the show. If you want to stay tuned for that. Andrew says there's a big surprise on how many games each of us have won and lost. So I guess we'll have to see what that means coming up. Plus, we'll be checking in with Phil Groupie, our sustainability specialist. He'll be here, tell us about the big shred day, the electronic recycling day, and of course the med drop. We'll have all that coming up for you as well. And Ned will be here from the Fitchburg Police Department. We'll get an update from him, find out who he picked for his bracket too, which I can't even imagine. He probably doesn't even do it. We'll have to find out if he does coming up. Either way, let's get to the headlines, and we start with the public hearing on the council's proposed amendments to the ARPA and TID closure investment plan. This will be happening next week on March 22nd at 7:30 p.m. The Common Council will hold a public hearing on the Fitchburg City Hall and virtually regarding the council's proposed amendments to the ARPA/TID closure investment plan. Access the mayor's plan and the proposed amendments. You can go to our website, fitchburgwi.gov, and also you'll find the information related to what all of that means, and so much more. We'll have those meetings live for you next week right here on the Gov channel F3. We've got our spring recycling day event coming up. We'll be talking about this a little bit more later in the show, but here is the information that we have on this. So this includes, for the spring event, confidential paper recycling, electronic recycling, med drop. It's on April 9th. That's my wife's birthday, so we better do some spring cleaning on her birthday. I don't think she'll like that, but we're going to do it anyway. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and it's at the City Hall campus. We know that as far as the boxes go for confidential paper shredding, residents can bring with them personal or sensitive, such as checks, whatever you think you need. The confidential shredding, if you will, can be done. Residents can bring equivalent up to 3 paper grocery bags of paper with them. Should be less than 30 pounds each, though, so the volunteers can lift those bags as well. And you can see the materials not accepted within the paper shredding side. All right, moving on the electronic side, we can take most things at no cost, but there are some costs for some of those bigger items like flat screen monitors, TVs of all sorts of sizes, projectors as well. If you got a projection system, microwaves, rechargeable battery recycling is free to a limited number of vehicles while funds last. So come early if you're going to be dropping off some of those electronics on the recycling day event. And then, of course, our med drop will also be available to you. That's in the police department. The doors will be open on that day as well. So if you need to drop off any unused or unwanted meds, this would be the proper way to do that safely. The directions are available online. And of course, when you get to the drop box itself, of how to dispose of these correctly. So check that out before you come out. So there is a way to do that. As far as the layout goes this year, pretty much similar to what we've had kind of in the past here. A little different. So we'll have our paper shredding up front here. And the electronic recycling will be happening in the back, on the back side of City Hall near the police department. In the med drop parking area, it's kind of spread out there, but basically go into the police department side to drop off those unused meds. That's inside the building. So we'll have to do that. You can't do it via door side when you drop those off. Also, timing up is your Waterway Cleanups. We have a date for that. Here we go. Saturday, April 23rd. Fitchburg's 2022 Waterway Cleanups are scheduled from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. More details on Waterway Cleanups, including a list of locations, can be found at our website. We've also can encourage people who are going to volunteer to make sure they bring their boots and work gloves, vest, bags, and gloves will also be provided. And please be aware there is no restroom facilities when you're in the cleanup area, so plan ahead if you're going to be taking part in our cleanup. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we open up our digest. We'll talk more about the Recycling Day event coming up here in April. That's next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps.
Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks.
Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot?
Helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from our Public Works Department, Sustainability Specialist, Phil Groupie. Phil, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm living the dream, my friend. Glad to see you back on the show. And we're going to be talking about the spring 2022 Recycling Day event coming up. And it's coming up fast, Saturday, April 9th. Tell us about this annual event.
Yeah, so this is something that we try to put on once or twice a year. It's just an opportunity for the city to help residents dispose of things in a little bit more responsible way than just dumping in your kind of green waste bin. So we're collecting confidential papers that you need to have shredded. Pelletier is helping us out with that. And then Resource Solutions is a company that we've contracted with to bring a couple of trucks to pick up electronics, appliances for recycling.
Why is it important to host these events overall? So when we're just looking at this as a broad picture, I mean, it's a great event first and foremost. I mean, not shocking news there, but there's other benefits to doing this besides what's on the surface.
Sure. So it's important for us to look to find ways to reduce what we're sending to the landfills. We have limited space for solid waste like that, and whatever we can do to divert those waste streams somewhere else, whether it's reuse or recycling, we really want to encourage people to take part in that. By the city participating in this, I think it makes it a lot easier for a lot of individuals who maybe aren't quite sure where to take things themselves, and so being able to create this sort of centralized location for this is a way to help out our residents to participate in something. But also it makes things a lot easier and more accessible for our residents. We're really happy to run these kinds of events and just make things a little bit more efficient and more accessible.
When it comes to just everyday recycling at the carts, does Pelletier keep track of things that shouldn't have been going in the recycling? Like, do you get reports, Phil, of like, hey, you know what? We're seeing a lot of TVs being dumped recently, Phil. What do you say?
I don't get regular reports. I do know, once or twice a year, we kind of check in with Pelletier and we find, somewhere between 10 and 15% of what's being put in the recycling bins is not actually recyclable. This is something that I know last year with the Green e-newsletter, I sent out a special edition in June that was specifically about recycling. And it's really difficult to keep this in mind. It feels irresponsible, but the mantra, when in doubt, throw it out, is really a good way to go. If you know something's recyclable, let's recycle it. Let's make sure that's not going to the landfill. But actually throwing things in the recycling bin that shouldn't be costs more time and resources, and it can actually make recycling less cost effective. So really understanding what goes in that cart, what should go in your green landfill or your landfill bin, what can be composted, dropped off at the city's recycling site, or brought to an event like this is really important.
Looking at the electronics specifically, Phil, again, it's kind of the similar question, in fact, but does Pelletary have to sort those recycling items out if they do whether they throw them in the trash or recycling? Like, are they able to pull that stuff out, or because of the time and resources, is it just get passed through and goes in the landfill?
If something that is recyclable is put into your green bin, that's just going to go to the landfill. That's not, there's no manual effort put into sorting that out. If something is put in your recycling bin that shouldn't be, that will have to be removed, because that can cause various problems with the recycling process.
Yeah, and I think that's important to know, because you might be like, oh, they'll figure it out. It's on them to do that, and definitely not the process there. And we do have a med drop going to be available on this event as well.
Yep, it will be. Yeah, so we have a med drop location at our police department that's accessible when the department's open, but we also really encourage people to bring unused, expired, unwanted medications. And there are instructions we have a flyer that's posted on the city's website. If you search for recycling event, it's the first link that's going to pop up. And there's a flyer link there that describes all of the things that can be brought for the confidential paper shredding, for the electronics and appliance recycling, and then also the med drop.
And specifically on the electronic recycling, Phil, is there some extra costs in disposal of some of the items for recycling?
Yes, some items, especially larger items, or things that maybe take a little bit more effort to recycle. So things like CRT and flat screen monitors, TVs, microwaves, things like that are going to have a small fee associated with them. And that just has to do with both the complexity of recycling and the bulk, the size of these things. And it's just extra weight and effort to get these taken care of.
All right, Phil, anything else we need to know for the big recycling day event?
Like you said, it's going to be Saturday, April 9th. We're going to have it open from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you've been hanging on to things, not quite sure what to do with them, but they're not usable anymore, this is a great opportunity to come drop them off. Hope to see a lot of people out there participating.
Yeah, you guys do some great work with this, and usually is a pretty good turnout overall. So we'll look forward to continuing to share that event. Phil, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, and we'll check back in with you real soon.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy.
You bet. Again, April 9th, get that on your calendar for the big recycling day event, and we'll keep passing on the information as well. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be flood next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family, and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Fitchburg Police Department is Lieutenant Ned Hartwig. Ned, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. How are you?
Did I get the title, the name, everything right? You good to go?
I'll go with whatever you give me.
All right. Well, Captain, let's start off by talking about the shots fired incident and arrest taking place a little bit earlier this week. Not much to this case per se. The person was maybe under the influence, shot a weapon, was heard. But in a bigger sense here, when any of these things happen, kind of notifying the police department, obviously for many reasons, is a good thing. But in this case, helped maybe speed the process up in locating this individual and taking some action.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great reminder of the fact that public safety and community safety are really everyone's responsibility. We're the ones that respond to it, but often we can't be, and we certainly can't be in all 35 square miles of Fitchburg at once. So we were made aware of some 911 callers that had heard the gunshots, and we just so happened to have a couple of officers right in the area. This occurred off of Williamsburg Way, Anton Drive. And officers within minutes of the call located this individual who was walking home from a bar, had consumed too much alcohol, and either way was in possession of a firearm that he shouldn't have been while he was at a bar. And he told responding officers that he had fired that gun because he hadn't shot it in a while, which is concerning in a number of ways. Fortunately, no one was hit with that gunfire, despite it being in a very densely populated area with a large apartment complex, and obviously you have a major highway right there. There was some damage to a business there, but again, based on the actions of a citizen taking the time to call 911 and report that, we were able to respond and come to a resolution fairly quickly.
Yeah, and I, like you had mentioned too, I think just listening and and reporting is super helpful. And you have many different ways to report things as well. So it's not just calling 911 too. So if maybe you're like, I'm not really comfortable talking to the police department, but I still want to share some information, what would you recommend on that front?
So we always recommend calling, I think the bigger question comes in sometimes is this an emergency? Do I need to call 911? Because a lot of times people are fearful of calling 911, that you're taking up the emergency dispatcher's time. And there is understandable, hesitation there. But I recommend if you are hesitating to call, just call. And even if you call 911 and it's not truly an emergency, they'll triage the situation. But the unique feature that we have here in Fitchburg is that we maintain a non-emergency dispatch number. And I recommend that all Fitchburg residents, anyone that works in Fitchburg, program that number into their phone. You're that much more likely to call and let us know what's going on. And we answer that phone 24/7, and you'll get the same response that you would if you were to call 911. If you do have a medical emergency, please call 911. But in addition to our non-emergency dispatch number, which for those of you wanting to enter that into your phone is 608-270-4300. In addition to that, if you want to share information anonymously, we do have a tipster line, and that's 270-4321. And then Madison Area Crime Stoppers is also a phenomenal organization that takes anonymous tips via text message and over the phone as well. So if you visit p3tips.com or call 608-266-6014, you'll be able to share anonymous crime information, and you can actually get a cash reward. And then finally, on that topic, we do have a number of forms that you can submit for various concerns on the city's website to share things that aren't emergency or ongoing or in progress situations.
I think it's important to know all those avenues of not just calling you guys up and having you come out for a visit, but plenty of ways to open up the conversation no matter what the case is. So appreciate you sharing that. Turning our attention to the warmer weather. Dad, you like warm weather as much as I do, and more daylight. But that means people who have been cooped up for a while are ready to get out, do some walking. We have a very active community, so some good reminders here to watch and be aware of your surroundings.
So as we get closer to summer, hopefully, which is my favorite season, we had a little bit of a taste of it here a couple of days ago. it's important for everyone to start getting in that mindset that there are going to be different patterns of roadway usage. There are going to be more bicyclists. There are going to be more people out walking their dog, and just be aware. Whether you're on 2 wheels or on 4, be more aware of your surroundings as people adjust their habits with increased daylight to just reacclimate yourself with your surroundings, your neighborhood, and people's patterns. It's just real critical with the number of distractions that drivers have available to them. More well-constructed vehicles where sound's harder to pick up. Just please pay attention and keep everybody safe no matter what you're out and about doing.
And while you're out about, maybe you're getting the dog outside for a good walk now, because they've also been cooped up just as much as you have. A good reminder to make sure that you leash up your pets, plus picking up that pet waste as well. So important.
Yeah, it's an important reminder as well related to pets. Fitchburg does have an ordinance that requires your pets be leashed when they're off your property, and that's really for everyone's safety. For your pet's safety and for everyone else around you. You may have the most well-trained dog and they react to voice commands and will immediately come back, but it just increases the community's safety when pets are leashed and prevents some negative things from occurring. And the pet waste is just a common courtesy. That's a respect for your neighbors, for the neighborhoods, and for parks. And we just appreciate it if everyone can take ownership and responsibility of that.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice there on all fronts. Turning our attention to Women's History Month, you were just sharing an initiative in the PD world or police world of 30 by 30 campaign. Tell us about that.
So March being Women's History Month, it's a great time to talk about this. There's a national movement to increase the number of women in law enforcement serving communities. And the initiative is titled 30 by 30, which references having 30% of your sworn law enforcement staff be women by the year 2030. The number of women serving in law enforcement has been rather stagnant for a number of years, and the national average is right around 12% of law enforcement personnel being female. What we're hovering around, depending on over the last couple of years here, 15 to 20%. So we've been doing fairly well. But there's always the need and the interest in increasing those numbers. Research shows that females in policing open a number of doors as far as representation of the community. There's research that leads to the belief or the understanding that there's decrease in use of force, and a number of just very positive things that we would like to see in our police department and police departments around the country. So we have signed that pledge, and we have a very active group that is working to improve our representation in our workforce.
I think of sometimes maybe you want to confide, maybe you want to talk to a woman versus a man when you're out, for the police, this perspective, depending on what's going on there. So I think you've got a lot of different things, but it's a great initiative, and we'll keep up on the progress with that on the police department. Finally, want to quickly talk about National Social Workers Month and just how important a social worker is, but the police department now has a shared social worker on staff who's now on board. Sarah Folkers worked for the senior center for many years, is now partly on your staff as well. Why is this such a great benefit for both the senior center and police department?
Well, and really it's a benefit for the community is the biggest thing here, is that we are able to provide a whole different level of service, and we are being the 24/7 agency that we are, and being the agency that tends to collect issues that there aren't necessarily good solutions for in the community. We get a lot of calls that aren't necessarily law or criminal related, and so the biggest thing that this position will allow us to do is to provide more resources to community members that we don't have the tools or the resources to provide. And then in turn, that frees us up to respond to criminal matters, investigate crimes, prevent crime. And Sarah has been extremely busy already. We're working through workflow and referrals and what the process is going to look like, because this is brand new to us. And so in addition to the resources to the community, it's going to increase communication across city departments, and we're going to be much more responsive to the needs and the wellness concerns of our community.
I think that's going to be part of the best part of this is we're going to learn as we go too. So we know the benefits of having a social worker available for lots of great reasons, but we'll probably find out some more great things to come as well. And Sarah will do a great job in that role. We know that for sure. All right, Ned, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And quickly, Ned, if you were going to do a bracket, who would you pick to win? Is it going to be the W here, or is it start with a G?
I don't know. You're putting me on the spot. I do know Kentucky is not going to advance to the championship after that upset last night.
Maybe that was your bracket pick. So we'll end it there, Ned. Thank you so much for your time. Stay safe out there. We'll check back with you next month.
Thanks, Jeremy.
You bet. Check the police department's websites at fitchburgwi.gov/police department for more information. And of course, follow them on social media as well. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
Como padre, todos los días son un desafío. Y hay que estar ahí presentes. No importa lo cansado que uno esté, hay que estar ahí presentes para ellos. Cuando los niños aprenden algo nuevo, es ese momento mágico y especial. Y creo que presenciar eso ese momento es mi favorito.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. Why? I can't drive. Why? I'm high. Oh.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for today, I want to thank, of course, Phil Groupie, our sustainability specialist, and Ned, Lieutenant Ned from the police department, helping us out today. We'll have both of those posted up online at our social media pages. We'll talk about in just a little bit. But first, we're going to get to the brackets and see, where did Andrew and I end up after day one? Just like all of you, we suffered pretty badly. Let's look at Andrews first. Let's go to Andrews. Andrew, yes. I'm looking at this here.
Yeah.
And I don't think you did as bad as I thought you were going to do. I think, looking at the West here first, Connecticut was a huge up. That is a big upset.
Yeah, that was a big one.
A lot of people said they were going to go a long way. So,
well, you can see I had them going in a few, but I didn't have them go all the way. So they lost to Gonzaga, so we're still doing okay there. And then the West side or the South, I had both of those right, Michigan and Tennessee so far, and we've got Ohio State going right now as we're filming this today.
Yeah, and moving a little bit further here,
this one hurts a little more.
Iowa was going to be a tough one.
Yep.
No matter which way you looked at it, Iowa was going to be tough. Is this my bracket?
This is me. This is still me.
You? Okay. I'm like, it looks like my bracket too, but yeah.
And then Kentucky
pretty close
on that side. And then these, I did really well on the top side of the East, but the bottom side not so much. So there you go. All right, I'm going to jump over to you here real fast. And we can
spreading the wealth here. I also had some ups and downs. Connecticut too, same deal.
You're pretty close. We're very similar on the top. Very similar
Marquette,
on the top.
I knew Marquette wasn't going to do it, but I just homered that one. I watched that game. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Say the least. All right, moving down. Kentucky, though, I was good the rest of the way. Kentucky, that one's a tough one.
That was but you see, I had them going one more deep, so you did pretty well there. So you're okay still. Iowa, though, on your other side, that hurts you. So.
I did well otherwise,
so
I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
All right, well, Andrew, we'll say it is a tie. So we are literally tied.
Right now. Yep.
Somehow, some way. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll find out if we're broke next week.